Hello and welcome to the Preferred Contractors podcast, where we give you actionable steps to grow your contracting business. I'm your host, Jordan Harrison. So today we're going to talk about websites, dive deep into them, answer your questions about them, why you need them, what purpose do they serve, what makes a really great website that's going to convert your traffic into customers. So I'm excited to have on today Aaron Mong. And I said it right, Mong, right?
Yeah, Mung.
Mong. Sorry, I'm from the South.
No, you're fine.
And so I always mess it up. But, anyways, he's the web developer at Kyber Digital. So, we're super excited to have him on. Aaron, welcome, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you for having me.
And I have to say, and we talked about this before the setup, you've got the best setup of anybody on the show so far. I love it. Got the nice Shure mic and
Like I said before, I always did music stuff growing up, so I've had this mic for about 5 years, and it's nice to put it to some use, honestly.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
and I forget about the music stuff because me being the band director, the music geek, and
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah.
we don't talk enough about music, and we should.
There's so many parallels to what we do and music. I could go on for days. I'll
you,
probably make a couple analogies.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Absolutely not wrong. So that's super helpful. Well, look, man, let's dive in a little bit about your journey then, which I know you're probably going to talk a little bit about the music side.
Sure.
So talk about your journey that kind of led you into building all these kick-ass websites and working with Jay at Kyber Digital.
Sure. So there's two aspects of that: how I ended up making websites and how I ended up working for Kyber, and they both kind of like intertwine a little bit. So I'll probably go back to I was about like 20, and I went to college at Shippensburg University, and my major was management information systems, which most people don't know what that is, and that's completely fine. The way I describe it is it was essentially like business coding. So it was like a little bit of app development. I learned like Windows operating systems, like database management, like kind of stuff like that. So like I kind of understand like all the coding side. And then when I graduated, which was about 2017, at the time I was playing in bands with Kyber CEO Jay, obviously. And it was always this really funny joke that no one knew what Jay did. Like we were like, dude, what do you do for a living? Because we just knew he like worked from his laptop, and this was kind of before like working from home was like a normal thing. Like it was still kind of like a little bit unheard of at the time.
Yeah.
So long story short, it was about 2019, I think. He hit me up and was like, this was kind of like when Kyber was like starting. And he's like, hey man, I just need someone to like post on like social media for like a couple clients. Like I just need to start like divvying out some work. And he's like, you're trustworthy. Can you do this? I'll slip you some money, obviously. And I was like, yeah, man, of course. And so I did that for him for like 8 months or something. And I did that for like 8 months. And then he was like, I'm kind of trying to get rid of like the whole like social media part. Like clients have these like expectations that I can't really fulfill. So I'd rather like stick to stuff I'm good at. And then he goes, but I really want to keep you around. Like, what role do you see yourself in? And at the time he had like had me doing like a couple like web edits, like here and there. And I go, I think I kind of like doing like the website stuff. And he goes, okay, cool. You're the web developer now. And I was like, okay. Had never made a full website, just kind of said yes. So I pretty much just got like thrown into it. And, like someone like me, like I was the kind of kid that would like make his own MySpace profiles, like with like, or like the layouts. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh
With like,
no, I definitely remember that. You can remember
yeah,
I'm a
because you had
little
to you
older.
had to have an understanding of HTML like a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So like that was my only foray. And 2 years later, here we are. Probably I've launched like probably like 50 websites and thousands of marketing related pages. So
Yeah.
I just kind of said yes to a bunch of stuff, and now here we are. Is the moral of the story.
Yeah, and of course, I've seen a ton of the websites that come out, and especially like here lately, been fantastic, and they
Yeah,
look really great. And it's not only that; it's just they're functional, right? They're
that's
there for their purpose, which we'll get into here in a
mm-hmm.
little bit.
Yep, that's the
Um,
whole point.
and so, sorry, I'm over here scratching my eye. YouTube's gonna love this. Hey, he's poking his eye out.
Hey, you too.
Uh, you said something. You're talking about coding. I
Sure.
forget. I taught coding in high school.
Really, you
Yeah,
taught
so
coding?
We did. I had to teach. What was the course? And this was recently too. I had learned HTML coding early on in my
Mhm.
teaching career, like back in 2006, 2007.
Sure.
And we went in and did. Lately, we did. What is it? We had to learn. We taught HTML code. We
Mhm.
did do that, and there was a few other things. We started to get into. Oh, what other nerdy stuff do we get into? I
I
don't
would
remember.
imagine
Anyway,
CSS. That's kind of
um,
like
yeah,
what
we did.
decorates
Yeah, we did a
HTML.
little CSS work. They were
Yeah,
still struggling with HTML.
sure.
And then we went into other types of coding with robotics and stuff. So really neat stuff.
Mhm.
It has done left me now. And we created
Yeah, that was
games.
yeah, that was the thing with me is because I didn't really do anything with it for like 3 years when I was kind of doing the band thing, like pretty much full time. Like I was working at a coffee shop just out of college, just trying to like scrape by because they would let me leave for tours and stuff. So I've forgotten so much stuff from college. And
Yeah,
it's wild. Like I kind of had like whatever I know now, I've pretty much just taught myself from YouTube. Like the moral of the
yeah.
story is like, yeah, I have like a background in it. I have a degree. Like that's all cool. I pretty much could do my job now from a $17 course I bought online.
And
Like the degree's great. It's great on paper, but
well, it's funny you say that. I had a conversation with another guest. We are talking about education. It's just like you almost don't need the college degree, like the experience and just doing it and
oh,
taking
dude, the
action.
job experience is way more important than any
And
degree.
and I laugh. I've learned more from the marketing content side in the past 6 months, working
Mm-hmm.
around you guys, than I probably learned in the 2 years that I really dove into it. So,
Yeah.
because I'm literally creating content every single day. So, totally
Yep.
get it, man.
And that's the only way to get good at anything is just repetition. Like I'm sure the first site I made, I feel bad for that client probably. I don't think he has it anymore. But yeah, compared to where I was even just 2 years ago, like what I was making at first to what I'm making now, and all like the processes that I have now to ensure that the client gets like what they're looking for is just crazy how far I've even come in the past 2 years. And that mostly just comes from repetition, repetition, repetition. Like I'll make a site, all right, move on to the next one. And you learn something every single time you do it. And that's like the most important thing. Like I think college is great for like that foundation where you kind of you learn how to learn in a weird way, I think, in college. And then
I,
from there it's like how how far can you take it? Like how far can you take yourself depending on how driven you are. That's
yeah.
just my 2 cents.
No, I agree, and I will tell you this as being I talk about it all the time, being a former educator. I taught kids, I help kids figure out how they learn. You said that.
Mm-hmm.
What are different ways that you learn? Like what works best for you because it doesn't work best for others. Some people cram
No.
stuff at the last minute. That's my wife. Hope she didn't listen to this podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm kidding. And then me, I'm a planner. I got to work out ahead. I gotta have plenty of time on my deadline, or I panic. So
Right.
get it, man. So let's get into websites, dude. I know
Sure.
we're in all kinds of stuff. So let's talk about like the purpose or the purposes
Purposes.
that websites serve for contractors because everybody's got a different idea of what they are and what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about what the purpose is now because I feel like in 2022 versus maybe 5 years ago it served a different purpose. So
Right. Yeah. Especially because these things are changing all the time. I think the main way that I think about it is I almost think of it as like a like a billboard or like a signpost. Like I think a website is kind of just like a way that you can take those like real life things and just put them online. I think for me, like the biggest thing is I think it establishes trust. I think if you go to somebody's website and it's just janky and broken and looks like it was, made in like 1999 or something, there, there's not a lot of trust you can really have there. It's like, oh, they didn't care about this, so why would they care when they're fixing my house, But if they're putting more time into, something like a website or their marketing and that is top notch, when I go to your website and I see that everything's functioning, it's fast, it looks great, I'm like, oh, if they cared about this, they're probably going to care when they, work on my house or whatever. So it's really establishing trust, and it's also to inform your client, or yeah, just inform future buyers too. Like you want to answer any questions that, you couldn't answer on the phone, or like, because they're like somewhere in the buyer journey, like they're on like step like 1 or 2, like they're just they're scoping you out. They're kind of looking like, is this the person I'm gonna call? And they're looking for info, however that may be, like on their problem. Like, can you do what you want them to do? So
And it's, you talk about the two factors, obviously building trust and educating and informing.
for sure.
Like, I mean, obviously that's what I do daily, just in a funny video with my funny face.
Yeah.
And so,
I've watched. They're a great time.
yeah, some of them are fun. I've been trying to get a little more creative with them.
Sure.
As I grow in my content journey, right, as I'm getting better at creating different things, and
Hmm.
but no, yeah. So inform, educate, and I think people miss that as being important, because not everybody who, maybe if you're running ads, hopefully you're not running ads with a website, but if
Right.
you're running ads, or people are looking you up on Google, and you talk about your website is janky, it looks bad, you get broken links, it
Hmm.
doesn't flow right, it just nothing looks good. Then it's like, well, how do I know you're going to do the same thing when you come to my home? Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
and so I completely agree there. And so, people are missing it, man. And I
Hmm.
wish they would spend more time on that aspect of it. Some say they don't need it. I'm like, oh, yes, you could
Yeah,
probably
you
build
can.
one without, but
I
I
think when you're
disagree.
first getting started, maybe you can get by without it, but especially if you're trying to grow, I think that's kind of what you need to like put some time into this. I think
Absolutely.
that's when you're trying to establish. Yeah, if you're first getting started and you're just like fixing your friends' houses and maybe you have a couple referrals, like that's fine. But when it comes to like you're trying to really grow, it's really important to put this in. Even just making it look nice. Like I'm constantly, I feel like, fighting with the marketing team over what it says and how it should look. Cause I'm like kind of like a front end kind of guy. Like I think it should look great. And sometimes I don't care what it says. That's kind of a problem I sometimes have, where they're like, this is what it should say. And I'm like, but it should look really nice. Like, cause a lot of people just skim too. Like informing is great too. Like that's another completely half of it. But when something like looks nice, that might be good enough for some people. If it just like, wow, this looks great. Yeah, I'm just going to call them. It's a first impression kind of thing sometimes, I
Yeah,
think.
I
It
agree.
is
And I
really
know.
important what it says. I shouldn't neglect that aspect.
Well, and we'll dive into content in a minute. I mean, we know that, the content on the page is what's needed, structured
Mm-hmm.
the right way for SEO and those purposes. But you're
Sure.
right. Once they land there, no matter how they land there, if there's not aesthetics to it that makes it user friendly, makes it, pop, makes it fit their brand,
Right.
they're not going to click to call now.
Exactly.
So you talk about newbies and people that need one. So you got somebody, let's say we got somebody that is getting started. All right. They don't have quite the funds yet to invest in websites, because, websites can cost anywhere, a good one,
They can be very expensive.
a
It's not
good
unheard
one.
of. Yeah.
Yeah, they can go from, I would say average, what, 2,500, 3 grand on the low end for a good
Mm-hmm.
one, to I've seen them $15,000 plus.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I would
They can
not
get up
jump
to,
into.
they can get up to 6 figures sometimes if they're huge builds for huge companies. It's
Yeah,
not unheard of.
I know, like, e-com stores are that way.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, contractors don't care.
Yeah, right.
But so if you're a contractor, obviously you're getting started, you don't have the funds yet. You're like, I'm not white. But they do need a website. They understand they need that online presence, and they're just
Mm-hmm.
going to have to kind of, I don't say do it yourself, but let's say they got to get started with something. What would you recommend they
Right.
go about getting started? Maybe a platform that's got an easy template. What would you recommend?
Sure. Yeah, there's a ton of great, I'll call them DIY builders out there. You have Wix and Squarespace, and they kind of make these, user friendly. I think is the nice way to say it. Idiot proof is the mean way to say it.
It's the honest way
um,
to say it, not mean, honest.
yeah, it's the honest way to say it. Yeah, yeah. They make these so pretty much anyone can get on there and make a site. I would say the problem with it is you might not get the product that you're really looking for, because you get these templates and you can edit them you can edit the text and the photos, and that's about it. But sometimes that's all you need. So when you're getting started and you're just looking to inform, like put your contact online or on your website, sometimes that's fine. And as long as you keep it simple and don't try to overcomplicate things, then you can get away with it. So if you're just starting out, they're honestly great resources. Is it where you want to stay forever? Probably not. But if you're just getting started, Squarespace, Wix, you kind of can't go wrong.
Yeah, I agree. And I built personally sites on Wix
Mm-hmm.
before when I was in a hurry.
Yeah,
I didn't
right.
have time to like hammer out something that was really nice. I'm like, hey, I need a website built in about 2 weeks.
Need it
Oh,
yesterday.
okay.
Yeah.
I needed it yesterday. Let me get right on that. And
Right.
you hop on Wix and just hammer one out real quick that looks good. And then like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
later on you can fix it. So no,
Yeah.
I agree. I do when it comes to SEO stuff, like I know there are some that struggle with that side, but if it's just looking for the aesthetics and having a place online, Wix and Square, great place to go. So,
Yeah, you can't really go wrong.
so if you're obviously if you got started with that and you did build one on there, let's get into those who are ready to start building their online presence out. Like, all right, I understand, I get it, I need a website,
Sure.
I need to get started with something. So, what if somebody's looking for a company or looking for a hire or freelancer to build out that first website that's legitimate, professionally done?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of, what should they looking for in that company? What kind of questions should they be asking them?
So I think there's like two different aspects to this. First, you want to be on the same page, like design wise and within your niche. So if you're a contractor, for instance, there's people like Kyber Digital and like probably a ton of other companies that, specify in what you're looking to accomplish. So you guys can be kind of on the same page design wise, because you don't want to go to a web designer that makes these crazy complicated websites. You don't need all that. Like you want to make sure you're on the same page in the artistic standpoint of it, I guess. And then I think from a business standpoint, especially if you're just getting started, I would especially watch out for, I'm probably going to say it a couple times in this, what I call Facebook group freelancers. And there are people who I see a lot of people post on Facebook groups and they're like, hey, I need a website, or hey, I need edits. And, a lot of people come out and they're like, oh, I can make you one. And then a lot of people get really screwed over in that. Like there's no contracts. They're like, oh, Venmo me half up front. And these people run away with your money like all the time. So, just be weary. Make sure that if you're going to shell out the money to get a professional website done, it's from a professional company or a professional freelancer, someone that's legit, someone that has paperwork, someone that has contracts, and make sure that you're on the same page of what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I agree. And some people forget about, and I will say this: the ones that come out of the woodwork, be wary of.
Right.
But there are, if you are looking at the freelance way to go, you do have sites like Fiverr,
Yeah.
and Upwork that have reviews and they have to
Mm-hmm.
post their work and it's legitimate and you can get money back, I believe.
Yeah.
So, if you're going to go that route, you're like, hey, I don't want to go to a marketing company or a web design company, but I do want to find somebody to do it. I would, those are good places to go um,
Absolutely.
for there. Cool. So let's talk about a lot of people hear about the big Russell Brunson and the sales funnel stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which everybody's got their mixed feelings about that stuff. But
Sure.
but understanding the difference between a website and a landing page, because people hear landing page all the time and they hear website all the time. Most of the time they have no clue what the difference is. So what's the major difference between the two of those, and
Mm-hmm.
how should contractors use each one of them?
I compare it to like a niche store and a Walmart in a weird way. I compare a landing page. You walk into a store and a store sells one thing. And everyone there, everyone that works at the store is there to inform you of why you should buy that one thing. When you're scrolling down a page, it needs to have one specific purpose, and everything else is just to back that up on a landing page. So it's like, here's the product. Here's why you should buy it. Here's why this person said you should buy it. Here's some information about the product. That's what a landing page is. And you kind of you don't want them to go anywhere else. Like on a website, you're probably like clicking around, you're exploring. Like I said, I compared it to a Walmart or a Target or something. You're walking around the store, you're like, oh, I could buy that thing. Oh, I could buy that thing. And you go up to a store employee, what do you know about this? I don't know. I know a lot about that thing. I don't know much about that thing. Uh, so, basically, to sum it, yeah, a landing page, you just want to keep it really simple. You don't want to deviate from whatever you're trying to sell. It's one product, one service, that's it. And you don't want any other external links taking you anywhere else. It's buy this page. And then a website that's kind of meant to like kind of inform and to get a feel. We were talking about earlier about this whole idea of establishing trust on a website. That's where you can have an about section like, oh, we're a family run business and we've been working for 50 years. That's where you can learn about that. Does that have anything to do with the product? No, not necessarily, but you're establishing trust within the company. And you can explore around, like you can take a look at like other testimonials of this person did this for me and they did this other thing for me. And then you have like all the different services. So it's just meant to like look around and establish trust where a landing page is, here's the service, now buy it.
Yeah, I agree. And so, do you attach a lot of landing pages to like Google Ads, like if you're running the pay-per-click ones or like Facebook ads?
Mm-hmm.
Is
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't
Well,
do
go
the
ahead.
Google ads at Kyber. We have a girl named Maya who's absolutely fantastic, but we'll coordinate back and forth on like, I'll make the landing page for her and then she'll run the ad. And then we kind of go back and forth on what the copy should say from there.
Yeah, and I think some people miss that too. And some people will run. I've seen people that decide to run their ads of their own. Like I'm gonna do Google myself, or I'm gonna do Facebook,
Yeah.
and they run it to their website. And you're like that. If you have an offer, that's not gonna work, right? Your
I
offer
will
has to
say,
go.
someone that makes websites, I have had to look into Google Ads a couple times. And for me, someone that has figured out coding, figured out how to make websites, that looks like a foreign language to me. So,
Yes, and I've been into a few ad accounts, especially on the Google side, and it is like it's nuts. And even Facebook now has gotten from 2 years ago. It's the
oh,
comp.
yeah.
It has the algorithm obviously works really well, and most of the time it's a set it and let Facebook figure it out. But even then, it's like understanding every bits and pieces and what type of
Mhm.
campaign to run makes it difficult. So anyway.
Sure.
So roll back into you had talked about earlier when you're building out websites. You said, when you started, obviously, you're learning how to do it and you're learning on the job, but now you said you got some processes in place.
Hmm.
So what process do you have now? What have you used when you start building out a new site?
So, I think the thing with this is, um, you don't want to deviate too much from like the tried and true formulas. Like when people land on a website, they kind of expect a certain thing. They expect to find your services, how to contact you, what other people are saying about you, and they want to learn more about you. So when I start a website, I start with those fundamental ideas in mind. Like when I'm building out a sitemap, like what is this? How many pages or what is this going to consist of? You want to start with that fundamental base, and from there you can kind of deviate around depending on what the person's company or what their niche is. Sometimes you're looking to inform more, so you add a whole section on FAQs. Sometimes you don't need that at all. It just really depends on the client. And when people land on a site, I said it before, they're expecting a certain thing. So if you don't give those fundamental bases to them, they're going to get confused and leave the site. So when I'm building out a sitemap, I start at those fundamental bases and then I kind of go from there. It depends on what the client wants. Every single client's different.
Oh yeah, and as it should, right? The templating out everything is not going to do you good on Google, and you're going to look like the next person, right? If you got the same type of
Yeah,
website.
yeah,
Um, let's talk about layout for just a moment on the websites before about building them.
sure.
What are the biggest differences between because mobile sites or being mobile friendly is something that
Mhm.
people don't think about. So, what are the major differences between a layout for mobile, like a mobile device, versus desktop?
So when I start this whole, because I draft everything before I actually build it, and I make sure I send that to the client and everything. But I don't draft mobile layouts, and there's a reason for that. It's because the desktop, I build everything. Sometimes I get in over my head with how complicated I make it. Sometimes I'm like, oh shit, I gotta actually figure out how I'm gonna make this. I always figure it out. Don't worry. But yeah, so I don't draft out the mobile layouts, and that's because for mobile, I simplify everything. So I'll build it all out, and then when I change the viewports down, I start taking stuff away. So if there's a lot going on the desktop, like say I have like things overlapping, I take that stuff away. I'll take out backgrounds. I take out any animations because I want that to be fast. And it's kind of, from a design perspective, it's almost annoying because I spend all of this time building a desktop and probably 90% of people look at it on a phone.
Yeah.
But,
I
but
was
you just want to
thinking
keep
that.
it simple. People are there for information. Like that's the main thing. A couple images, make sure your fonts are good, make sure the images are good. But from there, like I just keep it simple, stupid. Keep the mobile simple.
Oh yeah,
That's my thing.
well, it's funny you say that because it's like the design that some people do put into a desktop application. Like you hop on, like was it? I think the statistics are like 80 to 90% of people look at their
Yeah, it's
website
a
on their
bummer.
phone.
It's a bummer for someone like me.
Yeah, and now I don't. What's funny is I don't like looking at websites on my phone. I actually like looking at them on my laptop, and that's my
Yeah,
preference.
right.
Maybe it's because I got bad eyes. I don't know. I like to look at them on a desktop, unless it's something quick. But other than that, I prefer desktop. But
Yeah.
apparently, Google says otherwise for everybody else.
I mean, you got to think most people don't even, I know a ton of people that don't even own a computer. They're like, why? I can get everything on a phone. So I have to think about that. Like, I'm a nerd about it, obviously. If I see something and I really want to read it, like, I'm going to bring it up on my computer. I have a nice one. Why wouldn't I? And
Yeah,
I look at websites all the time for whether like it be like inspiration or, I just want to admire it. So,
yeah. No, I
but Google
agree, and
says
I
otherwise. And that's a bummer.
yeah, no, I agree, and I do. I do the same thing with content. Hopefully, everybody does that. Like they look at a competition or they look at other things to inspire them to do better. I do the same thing. I watch content creators all the time. What are they
Mm-hmm.
doing different? How are they creating their videos? And because I want to
Oh,
make sure
yeah.
that I'm, mine are doing the same and engaging people. So,
Sure.
so what do you think the biggest mistakes are that companies are making on their website? Like,
Yeah, I mean, just going back to that last point, overcomplication for sure. There's a lot of people that make a lot of fantastic, really like artistic sites with a lot of flashy animation and that's great. Like if that's your niche. But if you're something like a contractor, I'm there to be informed and I want it to look nice. Like when I design something, I don't even include a lot of animations, especially for conversions and stuff like that. Like all of that stuff slows your site down. So if you're looking to rank on Google or anything like that, like I include as little animation as possible. I try not to overcomplicate it. Another mistake I see is people using like unreadable fonts. I see a lot of really fancy fonts where what are you saying? I don't know. What are you saying? With a lot of different niches, someone picks a fancy font. And my biggest recommendation with that is actually Google has a whole data. It's literally called Google Fonts. It's hundreds and hundreds of fonts that you can all pick from that Google preloads. So when you land on that site and you're using a Google font, it's going to load automatically. Like Google doesn't have to download that font, and that's going to speed your site up. And there's so many to pick from. And they're all, we talk about earlier, people expect a certain thing. If people see a familiar font they've seen before, which Google has probably 95% of them, it's going to feel more familiar to them. So that's another recommendation I have. But overall, just people overcomplicate their sites sometimes, and you don't need to.
yeah, and I see. I was listening to somebody the other day talking about um, things are missing is things like call to actions, like or
Oh
even
yeah.
being so
What am I
simple
supposed to
as
do here?
yeah, being so simple as like tell people what you do.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jay and I were talking about this in Nashville last week. We were listening to it was a Grant Cardone video. He goes, "Look, man, I've looked at your entire website. I have no clue what you do. Like, what do you do?" And people forget about
Sometimes
this
I'm
stuff.
building a site and I've already talked and like I've gotten all the information. I'm like, this is great. What do you do?
Yeah, and it's interesting.
We've had to
People
figure
forget
that out
about that.
before. Yeah.
Yeah, like how just simple. What exactly do you do? I need to know these things, and they forget about that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy. So as we're wrapping up here in the 30-minute mark here, I need more coffee. I was up
Hey,
late
but
last night. Wait, what are you drinking?
this is a little cold brew I made myself. I said earlier I worked at a coffee shop for about 6 years, so I'm
See,
a little bit of a coffee snob,
okay,
actually.
no, I'm a coffee snob. So, and I didn't
Oh, okay.
know
We'll get
that.
into that on
So
a different podcast.
that'll be another one. I ship mine up from Mobile. So,
All right.
that's how snob it's. There's like one kind I like, and when we were in Nashville, I had to try like three coffee shops before I found one I liked, but I did find one.
Good.
Nerd out. So last question I want to get into is like, where do you see the future of websites going as far as their purpose and functionality?
Sure. I kind of see it. I kind of see it like a lot of different industries. I see the technology to build one getting even better, but I kind of see it being easier to mess up. Like people ask, like, because all these builders like Squarespace and Wix and stuff like that, anyone can go in and make their own site. I'm like, yeah, I can renovate my own house. It doesn't mean I should. Like, unfortunately, I'm more of a tech guy, and I just tried to replace a handle on my door the other day, and that was a travesty. I shouldn't have done that. So it's like these, I think the technology is going to get better and it's going to get simpler, and it's going to be great for a lot of people that just need something quick and easy. But it doesn't necessarily scare me. It's just like any profession. Like, you're going to have the experts and you're going to have the DIYers, and you're always going to need both. So that's kind of where I see it going. I think a lot of these tools are great. I think that's awesome if someone builds a site like that. And if it looks great, more power to you.
Yeah.
Thumbs up from me.
Well, and I think it's funny you talk about, was it probably like 5 to 6 years ago? And they do have these now. It was a drag and drop system where you drag and drop it anywhere you want. And
Sure.
and now it's the block building system, right? You got to put them in a block and know how to use that.
Mm-hmm.
And so
and that makes everything responsive, but that's a whole nerdy thing no one cares about.
Oh yeah, but to me it also made it easier and cleaner to make the site, but you have to learn how to tolerate.
But there's a whole setup system, and if you don't feel like devoting 6 months to that, you're in for a little frustrating time. Because at first when I was starting out, I was just using Wix, and now I use WordPress, and I've used Webflow and stuff like that. Those things took me time to learn, like a lot of time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you want to devote the time to it and do it yourself, but that could be said with anything. Do I want to devote time to learn how to fix my house? I don't really have the time, so I'm going to go pay somebody. And yeah. I think those two things are always it's always going to be like that.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. And one other thing I was thinking about is in terms of future stuff that I've talked about with somebody else, Patrick Carr, he was on here. He's a video content guy and is actually incorporating chatbots with video and like a whole workflow of video on your site as it goes, which to me, in terms of the speed side, like I would be curious how they can make that really fast and have something so powerful like that.
It's possible if it's built well, but we'll see.
Yeah, so that's cool, man. Well, look, we've wrapped up here. We got 30-minute mark over. I really appreciate you coming on here today. I do want to ask, so if anybody wants to work with Kyber Digital, needs a website built, of course, by you, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you guys?
Definitely hit up one of our sales guys. I am not the person to sell to you. Greg, Ryan, I believe is his name, is our other sales guy. I've met Greg. I haven't met Ryan yet. They could sell you way better. I'm extremely backed up at the moment. I'm working on like 8 sites right now. So yeah, if you're interested, get in touch. I'm booked till June.
No, we've also got, and of course, I think, obviously you can reach out to me as well. We can get you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
I forget about that. I was like, yeah, I just send you over. So cool, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I think that wraps everything up. So I want to thank you guys again for watching listening to the Preferred Contractors podcast. If you haven't already, hop into our Preferred Contractors community group on Facebook. All you got to do is search out in the groups Preferred Contractors. It's in there, or facebook.com/groups/preferred.contractors. You're not going to remember that. I don't care. Search it out. Find us. Hop in there for all the things you need help with in terms of marketing, business development, anything that's going to help you grow your business in 2022 and beyond. So thanks, guys, again for listening. Till next time.